Hello, everybody. My name is Simon Eskow. I'm with the marketing department at Sin7. Welcome to the Automation Bots webinar. Joining me today is Danny Ng and Jeff Fenwick. And we're going to go through some of the highlights of the newest feature in Sin7's arsenal, the automation bots. Today, we're going to talk about the background, why we built them, what they do. We'll go over some of the benefits. Jeff is going to take you through some automation bots dashboards and sample workflows, and then we'll have a chance to answer some questions. So if you have any questions through this webinar, just message them to me using the message feature at the bottom of your screen. Without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Danny. Danny, take it away.
Hey, hi, yeah, Danny here, founder of Sin7 and Chino. It's not cappuccino, but made me Chief Innovation Officer, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm super excited to talk about the automation bots. It's part of our evil plan to make your lives a whole lot easier. And I guess one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it is because we've been working on this project called 10x UX, which is 10 times user experience for our customers, for about 18 months now, and part of this automation bots was part of that project. And it's finally exciting to have these things we've been working so long for to finally come out and hopefully benefit our customers. So yeah, before I dive into the automation bots, there's a whole bunch of things we had to do first. So I guess people talk about AI automation and all that, but there's the harder bit isn't necessarily automation, but all the prerequisites we had to do before something can be automated. So for a lot of people, automation it's sort of word that people use in the industry, but we want it to be something that could be really, really useful. And for anything to be automated, you have to be able to do it manually first. So so obviously with Sin7, we've got a lot of functionality, so we can actually do a lot of things manually. But as I said, before the automations, there were some prerequisites we wanted to talk about. So the first one is a robust core and defined structures. I think for those that have been customers with Sin7 for quite some time, if you do recall back to the early days, our system was not that robust or stable. There was frequent outages and a lot of bugs. And now, I would like to report in the last 3 months, we've had close to 100% uptime. So, and a lot of the sort of fundamental bugs have been fixed. So I guess we wanted to achieve that first. And the other thing about defined structures is, you can't automate something that doesn't have a defined structure. And we've put structures in place to account for a lot of the sort of the gaps in functionality that are part of workflows, but we have no proper structure for them. So examples would be deposits. Obviously, we've had customers that take and receive and take deposits. But we had obviously a proper structure to put them into the correct journals, making sure that, when something is fully paid, all those journals get reversed out. Other things such as supplier stock, that's a recent thing that Jeff will talk about later as well. And things like virtual stock, which, accounting for stock that belong to kits. So there's a whole bunch of things that we wanted to put in place. There's a few more things we still have to put in place in order to, structure various workflows. But I think we got the bulk of it. The second point was eliminating workarounds. You can't really automate something if the customer's having to work around that. So the best example of that would be, we're going to be releasing advanced stock allocations next month or next couple of months. And what we saw was customers when they had stock and they had multiple business units, they had a wholesale business unit, a bricks and mortar retail business unit, and an e-commerce business unit. The stock, there was no mechanism for them to allocate stock to wholesale or stock to the retail stores and stock to e-commerce. So one business unit doesn't effectively rob the other business unit. Plus, this also enables customers to know when you've got a big container on the water, how much you can sell and how much has already been sold. So, and a lot of the workarounds customers did was to create multiple branches, one for wholesale, one for retail, one for e-commerce. And that just created a bit of a mess with the stock. And when it became stock take time, then, the rubber would, the shit would hit the fan and it'll go horribly wrong. So long story short, we've created like a structure called advanced stock allocations to allow for that type of workflow to happen, whereas still keeping the integrity of the stock. So long story short, we had to do a whole bunch of things to eliminate some of the big workarounds our customers were doing in order to achieve certain functionality. And I guess the bit that's most visible to you guys is, we've been on this journey to be a highly connected inventory system, and we've got 500 plus native connections now. So you could say we well and truly overcompensated for that. So I guess we're really happy that we've got so many native integrations, and they're at a relatively high level, so we're quite happy with it. And what that means is, look, native integrations means we have good control over the data, and the data is real time. So these are the prerequisites we wanted to nail first before we start on embarking on our automation bots. So do we have a quick view? So this is quickly what it looks like. It'll be within obviously the Sin7 platform. Jeff will show you that in much more detail, but I just want to give you a quick look. Otherwise, you're probably wondering what the hell I'm talking about. So here's a quick look at our automation bots dashboard. So let's flick through in terms of the next slide. Yeah, so the automations bot, what and why? So, I mean, what it is, it's effectively a platform that does all the stuff in the middle. We're highly integrated, so there's a lot of stuff that happen at the endpoints, which is when we download orders, for example, from your Shopify or your e-commerce platform. We've integrated into, obviously, Xero, QuickBooks. We've integrated to a lot of shipping platforms and third-party logistics, warehousing. So those are what I call endpoints or integration points. What Sin7 doesn't quite have at the moment is all the stuff that happens in the middle. We want to create a process or a platform that did the stuff in the middle. So that's what the automation bots are. And the other thing we wanted to do is make sure that, the automation bots covered all functions: sales, operations, purchasing, admin, accounting, and intercompany. So our goal was, okay, within all the stuff that happens within Sin7, what is the most manual? What are some of the things that take up a lot of time? Some of the real mundane processes that our customers have to do each day. So what we want to do is we wanted to first create the top 10 automation bots, and within that, obviously, we want each platform or each area of the business to also have one or two automation bots. So we wanted everyone, when we first came out with the automation platform, to benefit as many of our customers or users as possible. So that was our goal. The first 10 automation bots we wanted to sort of automate 80% of what was currently manually undertaken by our customers. So let's look at this is like the first four. These are the first 4 bots that are currently out right now. And I guess the first one is the batch e-commerce orders. Obviously, a lot of our customers have online e-commerce sales. And unlike, if you were doing point of sale, bricks and mortar sales, you would just close the register and there was a natural process for that. However, to sell online, there's a number of payment methods people use. It could be PayPal, it could be, if you're using Shopify payments. And usually there is like a point in time in which the payments get batched. For example, 10 p.m. or it could be midnight. So what we've done is we've created a bot whereby you can select the channel, i.e. your e-commerce platform. We download all the different payment methods. We give you the ability to choose a time in which you want to batch, and then automatically it'll batch those payments every day. And the goal of that is to make sure those batches match the payments that come into your bank account. So when you push that up to your accounting platform, Xero or QuickBooks, they should reconcile ideally seamlessly, or if not, with only a few tweaks. Automation, sending sales emails, I guess I feel really bad about that, subjecting our customers to even having to send emails manually or do them in batches. So this is something I believe should have done ages ago. but the ability to send emails at various stages or various filters within the sales orders. So I'll give you an example. I had a customer I was talking today that, can we send this email when it's fully picked? An email saying, hello, we've picked your order and we are looking at the best possible carrier to send it to you. Expect your order delivered within the next 72 hours. And then when the order is dispatched, send this email that your order is being dispatched, expect it within the next 24 hours. So there's some two basic examples. Obviously, there's many different times in which you want to send various emails, and now you can do that. Branch replenishment it's one area that I've talked to a lot of customers about, and the cool thing about it is it will consume one highly qualified person's time, i.e. the retail manager or purchasing manager, and it would take them 2 to 3 days of their time to download all the SIM reports, configure them out, and then create branch transfers for that. So we thought we better sort this out to just relieve this highly paid person of this mundane task so they can focus on better things. So there'll be an automation to replenish retail branches. And I guess the other one that, although not everyone have multiple companies, this is something that Sin7 specializes in, is often within our customer base, people own like a wholesale division and a retail division, or sometimes companies in different geographical locations around the world, and these companies interact with each other. So the three main interactions we've automated for is just transacting, i.e. one entity creates a purchase order and then automatically shoots over as a sales order in the other company. Other things like stock visibility, the ability to view stock from one Sin7 account into another Sin7 account, and also price update. So if the wholesale company updates their pricing, the retail company gets that pricing updated straight away. So those are the 4 that are out now. This is the next 6, and I would call these as sort of the main event. These are the ones being worked on right now, and hopefully will be out to you guys in this quarter or next quarter. And this is what I call sort of the main event. This is stuff we've been working a lot on. Obviously, one of the first ones is dropship purchase orders. And there's many of our customers, although you have products you don't necessarily want to stock because you don't sell that much of it. Dropship is the best method to do that. And now, we'll have a bot that processes all the dropship purchase orders. The other one is purchase to order. Obviously, we have a lot of customers that only buy products when they've sold it. So now that if you have brought something that is a purchase order product, we'll create a purchase order straight away. Made to order is very similar. Obviously, if you sell something to a customer that needs to be made, it will create a production job straight away. The other sort of one that obviously purchasing is purchase to restock. If you run low on stock, it'll automatically create purchase orders for that. The other ones that are not as commonly seen in other systems is stock delayed notifications. What happens obviously when you've created a sales order, you create a purchase order, and there's delays in that purchase order coming in. Usually the only way for a customer to find out is if they chase up the sales rep chase up the purchasing manager, then the purchasing manager chases up the supplier. So now if the ETD is changed in the PO, the salesperson and the customer will be notified that that stock has been delayed without any sort of manual intervention. And probably the last bit is sales order updates, specifically updating various stages of the sales order. And obviously there are users that spend all day or most of the day updating something from one stage to another stage. Probably a common example would be updating awaiting payment to process or release the pick. So if you're on order, there's awaiting payment. If it's been reconciled in Xero, we'll download that from Xero saying it's been fully paid, and then the automation bot will go, this has been fully paid, I can release it to be picked. So obviously within each stage of the sales order, you can specify certain conditions and it will actually jump from one stage to the next stage without any manual intervention. Yeah, so those are the 6 that are being worked on right now, and some are currently in testing. So you should expect that within the next, this quarter or next quarter. All right, so obviously there's the automation bots as part of a bigger picture. Our goal in Sin7, we want to fully automate entire workflows. So, I mean, I'll give you an example is obviously some customers sell on Amazon or have Amazon as a buyer. Amazon will send you a purchase order or a sales order via EDI, and you might be using a third-party logistics warehouse or ship station. And our goal is once we got the automation bots in place, we're going to look at various key workflows, and our goal is to fully automate all these key workflows. So the automation bot plays a very integral part of our ultimate goal is to fully automate entire workflows. The other bit I like to touch on, extending the reach of what can be automated. We've developed a whole bunch of what I call applications or modules. Probably the biggest one is probably the WMS. For those that have used our pick and pack, the WMS, our warehouse management system is something that is in the middle of getting finalized and completed. So what that means is a lot of workflows involve order fulfillment, and the WMS is the best sort of module in order to do that. So because we control our own WMS, we can speed up these workflows by 2 to 3 times. Other sort of platforms that are coming out will be our new B2B e-commerce platform, and obviously the other one is we keep on refining our point of sale. So a lot of omni-channel workflows we can automate because we have our own point of sale, and a lot of the automations built into those modules. Yeah, and the bigger picture is with Sin7, our goal as a company is we want the platform to be an intelligent system. It's not a system that we want you to go in there and just key in data all day. We want the system to do a lot of the thinking. So the automation bots automate the manual stuff. And then Sin7 as a system, we want to automate the thinking. So that's sort of the bigger goal. As part of that, we have a continuum of decision making. So we're not about saying, look, we've got this big AI project on and we've got something that's going to brush your teeth and cut your meat, or can make sure we avoid grannies if we're on autopilot. So we've got a goal to being a smart system. But the automation bot means that as we get smarter, we'll create a bot for that. So, and you'll get the benefit straight away without us having to figure it all out. So that's what the bots allow us to do. As we get smarter, we'll create smarter bots, and then we'll release those bots as separate bots that you can use and then plug into your workflows. So in terms of closer to home, once we have completed the first 10 automation bots, we want to create the next 10. The next 10 will obviously determine by what feedback we get from this current 10 and any of the gaps that we think we've missed. And our goal for the next 10 is, to achieve 90% automation of what is currently manual in Sin7. Yeah, so those are the future plans. I'll pass it to Jeff to talk specifically about, showing you examples of what the automation bots actually look like and how they work.
Before I hand it over to Jeff, I just wanted to reiterate that the automation bots are available as part of your regular subscription rate. And now I'll hand it over to Jeff, who will talk about the dashboard and sample workflows.
Cool, thank you, Simon. So previously, whenever we've added any automation aspects into the system, it was between one of our integrations and Sin7, which meant that any settings around the automation was within the integration settings themselves, such as automatically downloading orders or uploading stock to an e-commerce website. The automation bots are slightly different because they're automating the bits in between and the bits within Sin7. We've created a new automation bots module, and each of the bots that we've discussed today all sit within this module. So all the configuration and settings can be found within this new module. Now at this stage, if you're wanting to add it to your Sin7 account, it's done through the App Store. The App Store you can find on that left-hand navigation bar. Click on App Store, and then under the Sin7 apps, there's the new automation bots option. You can click that, put in some details of which of the automation bots you want added to your account. That comes through to us, and we can give you a hand with getting them all set up. Now, the main screen you see when you access the automation bots module is a dashboard. Now, this dashboard allows users to create new automation bots, update existing ones that are already on the account. You can select certain bots to run on demand. You can also preview the next action that will take place for each of the automations if they were to run now. And it also displays a list of all the actions that the automation bots have recently undertaken. It'll show you the date that they were run, a message advising what the outcome of the automation was. This also includes a note that if no action took place, for example, if you've got it set up to send out sales emails based on a certain stage, and if no orders got to that stage since it was last run, it'll give you a notification saying that there's no action so that you can have confidence that it's still working in the background, even if there's no action taking place. If an action was completed, there's a review column where you can click on a summary link, and it'll give you a pop-up with a quick summary of what the result was of the automation bot running. So in the example of a branch replenishment, it'll give you the order reference of the branch transfer created, how many products were included in that branch transfer, and a link so you can click straight to the branch transfer module to look at that in more detail. Now, the individual automation bots themselves will be listed under their respective sections along the top of the screen. So you have the sales, operations, accounting and admin, and intercompany sections. And as we release newer automation bots, they will be added to the different sections under there. So you'll be able to go into, for example, sales and look at all the automation bots related to the sales process or the accounting process. Clicking the green button at the top of the dashboard will take you to a screen showing all the available automation bots. And this also includes the ones that are coming soon, which Danny spoke about as well. And as those are released, you'll be able to, you'll see that the button changes from select to take you into that automation bot from coming soon. Now, the branch replenishment automation bot. So this is designed to look at the safety stock and the optimal stock that you have set up in the system per product, per branch. And if the stock available within the branch falls below the safety stock, it'll create a branch transfer to move stock from the warehouse branch out to the retail branch to bring you back up to the optimal stock quantity. And as Danny mentioned, this is instead of having to look at reports, export them, calculate what quantities, and then create those branch transfers manually. The question that came up was, what if you wanted to replenish the branch, but not every product within that branch? So within this automation bot, there's settings to allow you to filter based on product type, product subtype, brand, or project name. So you can have the branch replenishment process work, but only replenish certain brands, or even exclude brands as well. So if you have a separate purchasing or replenishment process for certain brands, exclude them, and they won't be picked up by the automation bot. You can choose to replenish single or multiple branches within one automation bot. If you select to replenish multiple, there's also a prioritization option where you can rank your stores with a priority order. So if there's not sufficient stock in the warehouse to complete all of the branch transfers, you can either have it so that the top store will get all the stock they need, and filtering down so that potentially the lower store won't get any stock or just a small quantity, or you can set it as a pro rata, so they'll each receive some of the stock but just at a lesser quantity based on how much is at the warehouse. For the batch e-commerce orders automation bot, there's not too many settings or configuration options for this. Basically, you select the e-commerce channel that you want included in this automation bot, what payment type, and what time you want that payment to be batched. If you have multiple payments through one e-commerce channel, you can set specific times for each payment type, and you can also choose to ignore certain payment types as well. So you might want some to be batched and some not. You can have that configured within the e-commerce automation bot. Now for the send sales emails automation bot, we already have an option within the system to create multiple email templates. And within the sales order module, you can set those templates to be bulk sendable, but you had to select multiple orders and then run that bulk send option. What this automation bot does is allow you to select a specific stage that an order must reach. Once it reaches that stage, it will send out the selected email template. Along with this, you can also set up a range of criteria that an order must also reach as well as that stage to help sort of define down which email template gets sent out at what point. So the current options we have to configure the filter is a ETD falling within a certain range, payment terms, price tier, specific freight description, delivery state or delivery country. So you can configure each of those to look for a specific value before it sends out the email. And in the next week or so, we'll be releasing an update to these settings to include company, channel, 3PL status, EDI status, and invoice state. So you can create a very specific criteria for an order to meet before an email gets sent out. And you can also have multiple automation bots for different email templates with different criteria as well. So it gives you a lot of flexibility around that specific process. Now, in terms of the intercompany workflows, as Danny mentioned, there's 3 which we've automated. The first one being the transferring of orders between 2 Sin7 accounts. So this works by looking for a purchase orders for a particular supplier. So if your staff create the purchase order, the automation bot will run, look for any orders for that supplier, and then automatically create a corresponding sales order in the supplier account with the same product, same information. So previously, the staff would have to go to the admin screen and click a button to create that order in the other account. This means they don't have to have knowledge that that particular supplier is a linked account. They can just create all the purchase orders they need to. And this will pick up the specific ones and automatically create them in the other account. The next intercompany workflow is the updating of stock. So the way this one works is you designate a specific branch in the supplier account, and then that stock available quantity will show within the product list page and also the point of sale in the child account. So as soon as the supplier sells any stock, that'll get updated down from the customer account. You'll be able to see what stock's available and create a purchase order to bring that stock into the child Sin7 account. And the third of the intercompany workflows is to update price between 2 accounts. So with this one, you can map a price or a cost tier in one account against a price or a cost tier in a second account based on a matching code, supply code, or barcode. And that means if the supplier changes their price, that'll automatically be updated down to the child account to update the cost pricing, so it's always kept up to date. Now, with any of these automation bots, you can add them to our scheduler. So there's 3 choices with this. You can either have them set just to run on demand, which means they won't automatically run, but you can log into that automation bots dashboard, click run, and it'll process all the number crunching, look for the orders, process any emails in the background. Just means it's a one-click process. However, if you want to fully automate it, there's an option to schedule the automation bot to run once per day or on a set day every week, every 2 hours, or you can set, for example, the send email automation bot to run continuously. So it'll tick along in the background. As soon as a sales order meets that criteria, it'll send the email out straight away. There's also an option to send a summary email to a designated email address. So the same way that you see a summary of results in the dashboard, it'll send that through to an email address so you can keep an eye on what's happening in the background. Now with the, as soon as you configure an automation bot, you'll see this workflow here, giving you a summary of what you've configured for this particular automation bot. So it'll show you when the automation was last run, when it's scheduled to next run based on the scheduler settings you've set up, what criteria you've set for this particular automation bot, and what the action will be. And as I mentioned, you can set up multiple versions of each of these automation bots, and you'll get a list of the different workflows and can see what the criteria for each one is set up. So that's the first 6 that we have available. So yeah, if you had any questions around those 6 or any of the upcoming ones, I'd be happy to answer some of those now.
Well, we do actually have a number of questions. I'm going to start with Let's see. In regards to branch replenishment, will the customers be able to filter by category as well?
So it's product type and product subtype at the moment, but category is something we're looking to add in as well. With each of these automation bots, we've put in some of the sort of higher demand filter options, but as we get feedback from customers using them, we're happy to add more in, and so category would be one that we'd look to add in for the branch replenishment as well.
We have another customer who's looking for textual manuals. I guess this is how to configure and use the bots.
Yep, so on our help site, we've got a help article for each of the automation bots, which has a description of what the bot's designed to do, and then what configuration options there are and how to set them up as well.
We also have a question, I think this is for Danny. Is the WMS you refer to the same as pick and pack module or a new thing?
Yeah, the WMS is a new thing. It's like a souped up version of the pick and pack. So the pick and pack it's like one of my pet projects that evolved into the WMS. So WMS is, it's we would like to think it's a proper warehouse management system. With all the learnings we've learned from the pick and pack and from the industry, it is designed to be, I wouldn't call it an enterprise grade WMS, but it's designed to do everything that our customers need. And I guess one of the key goals of the WMS is, with a very amount of low tech, you could, ship 100 orders a day. Yeah, so it is a new thing.
I have another question about the batch sales, batch e-commerce sales. Does this automation bot batch sales orders per customer to send to zero? And I don't know if you have enough information to answer that question.
So it won't do it per customer. It's designed to do it per e-commerce channel. So the same way as Danny mentioned, you'd batch the transactions from the point of sale at the end of each day to send one invoice across to zero. This would batch any of the, say, Shopify orders for a particular payment type together, so that then gets imported to zero to match up. So it's purely for orders coming through from your e-commerce channel rather than based on a particular customer for back-end sales orders.
Is there a test environment that the customers can use to try out the bots before they put them into production?
Customer facing, there's no test environment, but we're happy to, we have an internal test environment. So if they wanted to have a configuration set up for us to test for them to see what results come up. So for example, the branch replenishment, they can give us some replenishment values.
There's a preview.
Yep, as Danny mentioned, there's a preview function as well. So if you set up an automation bot, instead of running it, you can click preview, and that will, in effect, run it in the background without executing anything. You can see what the results are. If you're happy with that, then you can click run, and it will it'll run that on live data.
I think that answers the questions that we've gotten. If there are no other questions, thank you for your time, everybody. It's been great. And we'll be sending you a recording of this webinar within a week. Take care.